I've missed you all so much. It's been a while. It's been a whole month. I got a promotion at my job, so I've been really busy, but when there's drama, someone's got to cover it. And I never thought there would come a time where KEEMSTAR and Dead by Daylight would be in the same video for me, but here we are. So before we jump right into this, I want to talk about this in a certain order so we can all follow along. I want to start by talking about the voice actress's concerns about voicing the unknown. I want to talk about the lore of the unknown, which will be really important later. And I want to talk about the misinformation and memes that are spreading around about the unknown and the voice actress. And finally, we're going to talk about KEEMSTAR's involvement, which I don't even know how he managed to get involved in this, but whatever, we'll cover it. So for context, Zoe is the voice actress for the unknown and they are trans, and this is what they had to say. Regarding my recent viral witch hanging, I voiced the character The Unknown in Dead by Daylight. At the time of voicing, it was a great experience. I was told at the time I was voicing the character that there was no model and that the creature was supposed to be amorphous. They had no model design before I recorded my lines, so it's my assumption that the design team took my medical history and my ability to use multiple voices as an opportunity to create character models that encapsulate my medical history as trans, and capitalize on catering to the transphobic community. I was tricked into voicing a stereotype. Since yesterday, I have been virally harassed for being trans by thousands of people since yesterday. Many folks in the trans community are up in arms over this, and rightfully so. I feel that reparations from the team that deliberately tricked me is the only logical next choice of action. I am so upset, so infuriated that people are comparing trans people to these clearly transphobic character skins. If I had any idea of the fallout that would happen after simply voicing a character, I never would have in the first place. Let me personally apologize to anybody who has been a victim of transphobia due to this release. Please know that you are loved. Know that you are valid. As for me, I am not okay. This has ruined my reputation, has put me physically at risk for being attacked in public if anybody recognizes my face or voice. There were no diversity consultants on the project. The company knew that making a stereotypical man in a dress as a character and having a trans voice actress voice it would bring lots of money and people back to the game. I'm not dumb. I know how marketing works. This seems to be a huge ploy, and the trans community along with myself were the victims. Now, when I first saw this post, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit annoyed with Zoe's choice of words. You were not tricked into doing anything, you simply just weren't happy with the final product. Being tricked in this context would imply some sort of malicious intent behind behavior's actions, which in reality, it probably was just an oversight and they truly didn't believe that this would happen. It's safe to assume that because behavior has a history of being very LGBT friendly. They have no problem giving a platform to minorities. When the Bubba stuff went down with the blackface and, you know, people were using blackface, a ton of minority characters, like they had no problem taking that down. They have a history of being very, you know, pro-minority, pro-LGBT. I mean, David's a gay character. They have gay charms. They have pride charms. Trans charms, like they have all sorts of, like this isn't like behavior to do this. So to say you were tricked and imply some sort of malicious intent didn't really sit well with me. But at the same time, I can understand being upset, being a trans person voicing a character, and then there ends up to be a character that looks like a man and they're in a dress, and it's like, so I can understand Zoe's frustrations, but you were not tricked. Also, I don't think there's anything inherently transphobic about the unknown's skins. Especially when you consider the lore of the character. He kills people and then he wears their skins. And we don't even know if it's a he. It could be an entity, which is heavily implied in the lore. But he wears other people's skins, man or woman. So to say that the skins are transphobic, I don't think so. In the last paragraph of her post, the company knew that making a stereotypical man in a dress as a character and having a trans voice actress voice it would bring lots of money and people back to the game. I'm sorry, but I don't think people were leaving Dead by Daylight because there was a lack of a trans person voice acting a man in a dress killer. And now that that's in the game, people are going to come back. I don't think that's true at all. I think people, if anything, were leaving because of gameplay reasons and nothing else. I know I'm being a bit nitpicky right now, but at the same time, I can completely understand Zoe's frustrations, you know, having to voice this killer who looks like a man and has a skin of them being in a dress and being a trans voice actress for that killer. that's like, it's a stereotype, like, oh, like trans people are just men in dresses, and then, like, you know, to look like that, to have the trans person voice that killer, like, that must be really upsetting. And it's an oversight on Behavior's end, which I will admit, I don't think she's wrong for being upset. I just think there was a bit of an overreaction. Also, one last thing, I promise. Who is going to physically attack you in public by recognizing your voice? I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Is it like, is someone going to walk by you and be like, wait a minute, I recognize that voice. You voiced the unknown in Dead by Daylight. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. Like, it's just, it's so nonsensical. Like, a face I could understand, but voice? Like, what the fuck? Anyways, Zoe made a follow-up post that says this. There has been a recent misunderstanding. Anybody that thinks the skins are going away is not in the loop. Behavior is allegedly aware of the mass transphobic remarks and memes being made, and the gaming community is not a reflection of the game developers. I wasn't kept in the loop with what the character's final look would be. I was given an ambiguous description for the part, and even though I tried my best to find out more, continually asking for more info, that wasn't possible. This is why I was upset. The skins themselves were never the issue, lack of communication was. Please stop boycotting Behavior. They are not transphobic. It's wrong to take bits of info and jump to your own conclusions. Behavior is a good company and has been nothing but kind and supporting through this tough process of receiving mass harassment for my involvement in the character. Leave it alone. Good post. And finally, it's now time to uncover the lore. And don't worry, I'm not going to read all of this to you. I already read it, so you don't have to. We're just going to cover some of the important parts. Legend was it thrived in darkness and stole the voices of those it consumed so as to lure others to their doom. In the late 1950s, several college students mysteriously disappeared from a movie theater. Witnesses saw them go inside. Some remembered seeing them in their seats, but when the lights came up, they were gone. No one saw them leave. No trace of them was ever found. A projectionist claimed to have heard voices in the empty darkness of the theater later that night, but when he turned on the lights, no one was there. So these are some of the skins that the Unknown has. It's heavily implied in the lore 2 times that this is some sort of entity that's taken over this person, who I guess the first victim was a man, and has no problem dressing up as other people that they've killed. Here are some of the women's skins for the Unknown. Eyeless Woman. Stories spread across the Midwest about a woman who disappeared in the middle of a parking lot. As you can see, the Unknown is wearing women's clothing, even has the headpiece of an old woman. Safe to assume that he killed her, and now he's wearing her body, pretty much, including her clothes. And this is the outfit that is the center of all the drama, the Greenville Cheer. I want to make it very clear, this is not the default skin for the Unknown. This is the default skin for the Unknown. The only reason I'm showing this is because of the misinformation that's being spread about the character. Now, unfortunately, some people are taking it upon themselves to be as obnoxious as possible when it comes to the Unknown and the women's skins and saying stuff like, this is what the average trans person looks like, I'm so funny. But the memes that I want to focus on are the ones that are spreading misinformation. Like this meme, for example. New Dead by Daylight killer. Deformed freak in a skirt. Deformed neck evidence of a certain meme statistic. Voiced by a trans VA. Said VA did not know what the killer would look like and is now demanding reparations and apologies. What's really annoying about this is that if you're completely unfamiliar with Dead by Daylight and the Unknown, and you're just a random person seeing this meme, you would assume that this is just a trans person, and they were purposefully made to look like a freak. That's one of the reasons why I even explained the lore to begin with, because this is not what Behavior is about. Now this leads us into the KEEMSTAR situation. Drama Alert tweeted, Dead by Daylight hired a transgender woman to voice a character and didn't show them the design of. Once the voice was recorded, gameplay of the creature was released for a creature called the Unknown, which is a deformed mutant in a skirt that appears to have hung itself. I'm really hoping that the hung itself comment is because of the fact that the Unknown has a long neck, and it's not KEEMSTAR playing into the 41% meme, where 41% of trans people unalive themselves. But knowing KEEMSTAR, you never know. Fortunately for us, the community notes came in pretty clutch. The Unknown is an inhuman creature that wears the skin of those it kills and copies their voice, as its voice depends on cosmetics, and has no known gender, identity, or name. All its cosmetic options are of its victims and what they wore when they were killed by it. KEEMSTAR was not a fan of the community note, so this was his response. What is the point of this community note? Community notes are being weaponized to demonize Drama Alert on Twitter. This is happening to us every week. That same tweet ended up getting community noted, which is pretty funny, but the DBD community ended up responding to his tweet. Hen said, "The last sentence on your news tweet is just a fat lie to make the story more outrageous and dramatic. This is why community notes and the rule that you can't monetize lies exist. The fact that you are confused about this is hilarious." Gorgira tweeted, "Keemstar being a stupid piece of shit, spreading misinformation about the new killer, deformed mutant in a skirt that appears to have hung itself. Shut the f up, you bald dumbass. You didn't do any research whatsoever." And that pretty much concludes the drama. I mean, Zoe overreacted in her initial post. Her follow-up post was pretty good. You have a bunch of very edgy people spreading misinformation with their memes and making fun of trans people. And then somehow Keemstar gets involved in the drama and the DBD community kind of shuts him up. So yeah, weird timeline. My socials will be in the description below, and I highly recommend joining my Discord so you can get in contact with me to let me know if there's some sort of drama that's happening that I'm unaware of. I'm very busy, so I don't get to see everything that's happening at once, so it's nice to have eyes for me so I don't have to constantly look myself. I'm very, very busy. I'm even considering doing drama outside of DBD, although I'm not entirely sure how I will do that, so definitely let me know how y'all feel about it. I really like making these kind of videos, but there isn't always drama to cover in DBD, so there's nothing for me to make. Again, my socials are in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I promise sometime in 2090 I will go live and we're gonna have so much fun. And now I gotta go to bed, so good night.